We clap for pizza here. Clap for pizza. Gun fingers up. Can I be serious for 1 minute? Hold on, let me reset. My name is Evan Weinstein, and this is Underground Pizza. It was all there, right? Like, I knew some stuff, but like not like I do now, but I knew a lot about farming and flavor. I knew about food at a pretty high amateur level. I know seasons and gardening and all of that stuff, so it was just, again, like applying all that stuff to this, it gave me a leg up. I felt like I've been training for it my whole life, right? Like, I've been growing tomatoes since I was 5. Like, I should make pizza, right? like that's... All of that was just there. And I've just been building on it since. I was running this festival called Lost Lands, and there was a vendor called Detroit Style Pizza Company that's like one of the innovators. And they were a vendor, and that's the first time I had Detroit Style Pizza, and it fucks. That's literally why I made that pizza. So it was actually an idea I had, I think 2018. What if I did, like, for my events, had a Detroit Style concessions booth? Then in the pandemic, it just was all serendipitous and like by chance, but it all just kind of happened naturally. And then the Detroit Style thing blew up while it was happening. Like, it literally was blowing up while it was happening. It was like, oh, it just happened to be a trend when I was doing it. So basically, I was making pizzas at home just for myself. I was going out and buying Detroit Style pizza in DC, driving an hour each way. It was nice to get out of the house and just get some air during the pandemic. But the pizza wasn't that great, and I was like, oh, I can do this better. One of my friends, Kevin, was like, I'll pay you to ship me one to LA. And I was like, I could sell these? That was literally the moment where I was like, oh, people will pay for this. So then I was like, just posted on Facebook, like, hey, does anybody want to buy one of these pizzas I've been selling? And like sold, like made like 10 extra. I was like, hey, I have 10 extra doughs. Sold them in like minutes. And it was like the next weekend, like, hey, I'm making 20 extra doughs. And you're selling them for like 20, 30 bucks a piece. And people are just like buying them. And that's really where it started. That was the moment where I was like, oh, I could sell pizza. And it was kind of like, I'm burning through savings. Like, I need to figure out something. Pandemic, there's no events happening. So started selling pizzas to make extra money, and it's just kind of turned into this. We're going to go to Loch Raven and check for some mushrooms. My interest in foraging started before the pizza, I would say. A lot of people got into it during the pandemic. And then I ended up linking with a guy on Instagram who's like a big forager. And I traded him pizza for foraging lessons. And that was literally like how it went. That is probably a good part of foraging, is like, you're like, oh, like you're seeing the forest as like this living, breathing ecosystem and all these smaller details that you don't normally see if you're just walking through the woods, enjoying it. Oh, here you go. These are beyond, oh wait, maybe not. Let's see. Yeah. These are puffballs. These are actually, yeah. These are edible. And actually like peak right now. Like these are, we can pick these, eat them later. Cool thing about foraging is like you can be like right next to major artery, major road, and 200 yards up, you can't even hear this. You're in paradise. You're like completely off like the grid. Nobody knows you're there. You don't hear that anybody else is here, and you're just enjoying like isolation, and it's just the beauty of nature. As we dodge cars coming out of it.
All right. Go get him, Dad.
All right, let's get him. The one thing that does stick to my head is like when I'm picking ingredients, I'm like, would I serve this to my child? Like, I think like with the sourcing and the decision making, like, would I put it in my house and serve it to my kid? And if I won't, I typically don't put it on the shelf here, like put it on the menu here. What's your favorite veggie?
All the veggies.
He does eat a lot of veggies. I started noticing like, oh, this is from China, and this is from Turkey, and I went, Then I went back and looked at what we were buying from them, and I like took it up, like it's coming off the menu because came off the menu because like I wouldn't serve this to my child. Like it was like artificial flavorings and like, I'm like, fuck, and literally took it off the menu and just subbed it with something that was natural. And I was just like, why would like, yeah, I mean, that's, as far as food goes, like that's the thing. Like I don't serve Coke and Pepsi here because of that. Like, I won't, like I just don't. I think it's our focus around quality ingredients, seasonal ingredients, placing flavor above everything, and then figuring out everything else from there. We also have a big focus on sustainability and what makes more sense for the earth, I guess. Things like food miles, using ingredients in season at peak flavor, using ingredients when they're locally available instead of just whenever and shipping them from all over the world just to get here. I think the agricultural systems here are really cool, the farmers market systems. That's something I love, like that's part of the passion, I think. Figuring out how to implement local flavors, seasonal flavors, working with farmers, being a part, not just, you know, a customer, but a part of the community. Hey, what are you growing? Like, how can I do more with that? Being engaged in like that in the community is something that's important to us. And like, even as we grow, as we start to expand out, we want to figure out how to continue to do that as we grow. It's like we're supporting local farmers and we're creating a market, more of a market for local farmers by doing it, by choosing to do, instead of going to some, you know, food service corn that's just frozen and it's grown in wherever. It's like, hey, we're like working with local farmers, creating local jobs, like to like engage with farmers who grow more than one crop. Look at that. Look at the color on that. You just, if you go to Whole Foods and like look at the same thing, you just don't get a color like that because it just doesn't have as many nutrients as when it's like locally grown, properly grown. I think it's part of the ethos of other restaurateurs and like other people like, you know, Dan Barber, Alice Waters, Spike Gjerde is like taking their ethos, applying it to a high volume restaurant that could do 700 covers in a night and put out, you know, across multiple locations and kind of having that conversation with customers and teaching customers about that local seasons, where to get it, peak flavors. Like that's, I think that's generation 2 of like those chefs and what they're doing and taking that and applying it to things like we're doing. We love the city of Baltimore. We love being here. We love being downtown. We love being in the community. We're all about it. Sports teams, we get love from the athletes, we get love from city council people coming in for lunch. Like, we love being a part of the community, the events. Like, we feel like we are fully ingrained to the community here. We have booths at the farmers market. We love it. We love the city. Learning to be a pizziola is like part of the fun. I don't like the title. I don't like titles. I don't like being called a chef. It's like really uncomfortable for me. And I really didn't even feel like I was deserving of that title until more recently. And there was just a moment when I was like, damn, like I feel like I can proudly wear a chef's coat at this point. I finally feel like a chef. I guess I'm a restaurateur by default, and I'm an entrepreneur by like DNA and history.